Hey guys, how you all doing? Hope everybody is in good health. First of all, thank you so much for the love and support on my YouTube channel and Facebook page. It has been so impressive, and I've actually created this channel to serve as a professional platform so that from time to time I would be educating the masses on different medical, paramedical, and even public health topics that I find so important that everybody should know. Because here's the case, there are certain people or some people who are not, in the health field. They are in one way or the other excluded in the health education, prevention or promotion process. So I've taken this responsibility upon myself to educate, the masses from time to time. So if this is your first time of watching my channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, and then you could also like my Facebook page to be part of the family. Today's tutorial is kind of a review of a video that I made on the harmful effects of smoking and how to stop smoking. So I'm gonna read and react to some comments on this particular video on my Facebook page. Let's do it. So the first comment of the day came from a brother by name Tommy Cage, and he actually said the real question is how to not smoke in the first place. And wherever you are, thank you so much for your comment. I so much appreciate it, Brother Cage. I agree with him absolutely. The real question in the first place is how to not smoke. Instead of, it's important to talk about smoking and its harmful effects and how to stop smoking. But how do we not smoke in the first place? That's the most important thing. He's thinking in the preventive perspective, but I made a video on the curative perspective. Let's put it that way. So thank you so much for the question, Brother Tommy. And to react to that, so in my honest opinion, the best way to avoid smoking as a non-smoker is to hate smoking. And when I say hate smoking, I don't mean you should hate the smoker as a person. Be it our family members, our relatives, loved ones, or any other person, they need our support to quit smoking. So we shouldn't stigmatize them. We shouldn't move away from them simply because they smoke. I'm not saying you should hate smokers. Rather, they need our support to quit smoking, as I said. But we should hate the act of smoking. We should hate cigarette. We should hate weed. Or we should hate anything that we smoke. This would actually prevent us from indulging into smoking if we are non-smokers. For instance, when we hate people in our lives, we try as much as we can to avoid them. And when I say we hate people, we don't just hate people for no reason. We always hate people or for certain aspects of their lives that we do not like. So when we hate one or two things about them, then we avoid them. In the same way, if you develop the hate for cigarette, there's no way you're gonna smoke. Now the question is, how do you hate cigarette or how do you hate smoking? To hate smoking, you have to admit to the fact that smoking hasn't got any health benefits to you, not even one. Rather, it causes financial loss, it, it degrades your health condition, it's responsible for lungs cancer, it could cause bronchitis, it could cause cerebrovascular accidents, and what have you. So you should admit to the fact that Smoking hasn't got any health benefits, and I needn't indulge into it. This will help you as a non-smoker to avoid smoking, and then you wouldn't want to smoke. I think this is the best way to not smoke. But if you have a different opinion, you could share that with me. I think one of the most common excuses that smokers often give is the fact that smoking keeps them in good humor. But to be honest with you, you don't need to smoke to be in good humor. Why do I say so? Simply because naturally we have neurotransmitters such as dopamine that are responsible for, the pleasure pathway of the brain. Like they are responsible for that kind of stimulation. You see, that's why when you get bored, in a few minutes you get excited. But smokers, I mean, say like when they smoke, they it comes with some kind of pleasure simply because they have become addicted to nicotine. And what happens is that nicotine replaces the physiological, pleasure pathway of the brain. Like it replaces the the natural function of dopamine in your neurological system or your nervous system. So when it makes the receptors of the dopamine, insensitive to dopamine and rather sensitive to nicotine. And even nicotine also destroys some of even the receptors and all of that. So when you become resistant to dopamine, which is your natural neuro, transmitter, but rather sensible to, or should I say sensitive, sorry, to nicotine, at that point, what it means is that until you take cigarette, or sorry, or until you smoke cigarette to have, some nicotine within your system, that stimulation I mean, wouldn't come on for you to have to be in good humor. But even if you are a chronic, smoker or an addicted smoker, as soon as you stop smoking for some time, you would be able to restore the natural, process of maintaining your humor. Your, so that shouldn't be, a yardstick or a good reason to smoke. I understand it's an addiction. It's simply because you're addicted to nicotine, so it's hard to stop. But it, to stop, first of all, it starts with the mind. You should be mentally strong and you should be able to take a bold decision. Say, henceforth, I'm not gonna smoke. It's gonna be tough because it's an addiction, but it starts with the mind. We will see that later on in when I'm responding to other comments about how to stop and all of that. And other there are besides there are economic benefits of smoking. Why those to this to every nation, any cigarette manufacturing country or nation, it has the cigarette factories contribute pay a lot of taxes to the government, and they employ a lot of people, so it has economic benefits. That cannot be taken away from cigarettes. It has economic benefits, but think about your health. It has no any health benefit. So, and apart from that, sometimes I personally have never smoked, but I think people who smoke, if you are a smoker and you are with friends who smoke, they feel like you feel part of them, being part of them, and then they are cool with you. But when you don't smoke, they feel like you're trying to stigmatize them, or you feel so like maybe you'll not be able to rock well with them. So this may be another excuse. So it's all about societal benefits, and then when you're addicted, you'll be talking about the fact that it keeps you in good humor. But these are not good reasons. It hasn't got any health benefits. So I think the best way to hate smoking is to admit to the fact that the benefits of smoking are, what should I say, are very minute. Is the benefits of smoking is negligible compared to the harmful effects that it has on you. It could lead to cancer and all of that. So weighing both sides would actually let you hate smoking, and you wouldn't indulge in smoking in the first place. Thank you once again, Tommy, for this amazing comment. So let's move to the next comment. So our next comment came from another page supporter by name Kayla, and she said, just in an hour after Tommy commented and said the most important question in the first place is how to not smoke, she commented and said she loves smoking. And out of surprise, I asked her why she likes smoking, and then the response she gave was that she tried quitting, but she couldn't. I mean, she wasn't successful in the quitting process, so she just loves smoking. And in my honest opinion, the fact that she loves smoking simply means she has already given up in the quitting process. You know, it's because she's addicted to nicotine. So when she stopped, she couldn't. I mean, she couldn't maintain her humor. She wasn't fine, then so she had to. She just had to love. I mean, cigarette. But in actual sense, she doesn't like. I mean, love cigarette. But simply because she has no option. She feels she has no option. But actually, there are many options to quitting smoking. So you shouldn't, as I said earlier on, if you want to quit something or if you want to not even indulge in it, you have to hate it. You see, you have to just hate everything about it. Admit to the fact that it has no health benefits, and so you don't need to, to smoke. So the advice I gave her is that she should, try as much as she can to have a very strong mindset. Like it starts with the mind. Remember, smoke addiction or addiction to nicotine has to do with the mind. It has to do with your nervous system. So just as the addiction process, affects your nervous system is something that's psychological. It means the stopping process to has to do with the mind. It's something that is psychological. It has to. You should have that. Strong willpower to say, henceforth, I'm not gonna smoke. And then, how do you do that? You have to simply start. Identifying the the the, the disadvantages of smoking and weighing it. Or should I say, comparing it with the benefits of smoking. You would say that the disadvantages outweigh the benefits. So you would say, no, I'm not gonna smoke anymore. And another advice is, since she's already smoking, as soon as she starts to quit, or that's why she did not succeed in the first place. It's not easy because you are already addicted to nicotine, and when you are with people who smoke, these people tend to tempt you to also smoke. You know, they would, as soon as you see them, as soon as you inhale the nicotine, you feel fine and you feel like you should also, smoke. So at that point, when you become a chronic smoker or an addicted smoker, the quitting process has to first of all do with the mind, as I said. You have to make that strong mindset, and then gradually you have to start reducing the number of cigarettes you smoke per day. And as you reduce the number of cigarette smoking per day, you could also indulge yourself in physical activities that would always keep you busy and take your mind off smoking. For instance, you could hit a gym. You could also do some yoga. You could also do some running or any of your favorite sports. But mind you, during the quitting process, you have to try as much as you can to stay away from people who smoke, so that you will not be a passive smoker. Because as soon as you inhale the smoke of the cigarette from people who are smoking around you, the I mean, you tend to be tempted to also smoke because you've inhaled the nicotine, and then it gives you the pleasure to smoke again. So during the quitting process, try as much as you can to always stay away from friends. If you are with friends who are smoking, as soon as they're about to light their cigarette, you politely excuse them and stay aside. You know, don't do it in such a way that, like as I said, try to be as polite as possible so that they wouldn't feel stigmatized. You know, so that you wouldn't be a passive smoker and you wouldn't be tempted to smoke again. Apart from this, there are various cigarette replacements, which could be in the form of a gum, a nicotine gum for that matter. So it contains nicotine, but mind you, it hasn't got all those numerous cancerous or toxic components of the cigarette. So chewing a gum is much more healthier compared to smoking a cigarette. And the gum will be recommended in a case where you are so much addicted to nicotine that, like, after quitting smoking, like, in order to overcome the lack syndrome that's always established, and that makes you uncomfortable each time you feel like smoking and you refuse to smoke, you could use the gum as a substitute for the cigarette, so that it will give you similar feeling and you wouldn't smoke the cigarette. Apart from this, there is also, or there are non-nicotine uh, vapes, and these vapes, as I said, they do not contain nicotine, and then they are also very good substitutes for cigarette, at the same time for nicotine, in a sense that since they do not contain nicotine, I mean, there's no way they are going to induce an addiction, and at the same time, they also prevent you from smoking a cigarette. But mind you, all these substitutes or replacements are recommended for temporal usage, that is towards the latter part of the quitting process. In order to overcome the lack syndrome, you could use these substitutes or replacements, and then with time, when you are able to, psychologically overcome cigarette smoking, then from at that point you just, abandon all these stuffs. You be a free man. The third and final comment came from another page supporter by name Boss King Kwame, and he said he actually replied to a comment by Matthias Eben, and he said, "Say no to, sorry, say no more. There is weed vape." Interesting. Say no more. He's saying say no more to cigarette. because there is weed vape. Um, Let me read my reply to his question, or should I say to his comment? Sorry. I said, lol, none of them is good. Weed is a medical herb, but its smoking is not a healthy practice. I guess I'm right, and I know I'm right. As I said, weed is a medical herb, that's true. However, its smoking is very harmful to our respiratory system. The harmful effects of weed are not, so much different from that of cigarette. Just that, in cigarette is often made up of a whole lot of over 4,000 different chemical products. You know, there are different carcinogenic tasks. There are different, including the nicotine, and that makes you addictive, or should I say addicted, and all of that. So cigarette actually contains a lot of toxins, but weed is just smoking in its natural form. So it has, um, least health effects compared to cigarette, because it doesn't contain any kind of artificial or toxins or ingredients. Let me put it that way. It's, people who smoke weed often smoke it in its natural state. However, the smoke itself is still harmful to your respiratory tract. We admit to the fact that weed is a medical herb. It's used in different pharmaceutical laboratories in the manufacture of painkillers, and recently research have shown that weed or marijuana helps in the treatment of asthma and different kind of diseases. Even in if you could recall the history of what do we call it, of the discovery of marijuana, initially it was used for the treatment of traditionally for the treatment of tuberculosis and all of that. So is we cannot, neglect the fact that weed is a medical herb. However, its smoking is still not good for our respiratory system, simply because the smoke has different effects like bronchitis and what have you in your respiratory tract. So I wouldn't advise somebody to indulge in smoking. Don't smoke at all, whether weed or cigarette. You could use weed. I don't know if maybe there's a different way of using weed. Some people say they use it to make tea. I don't know how true it is, but I think that could even be a better alternative compared to smoking. I personally do not hate, I mean, especially weed. I don't smoke weed, and because I'm very very aware of its harmful effects. But I I would say something a little bit about myself. I'm somebody who likes reggae music. Like, I've been listening to reggae music ever since I was young. However, I've never and ever thought of smoking weed. But many people alive, I'm a very big fan of Bob Marley. It doesn't mean I should smoke weed. You know, I like reggae music, but it doesn't mean I should smoke weed. When we are copying certain things from people, let's try to emulate the positive side of, these people, of their lifestyle. You don't just copy everything about the people blindly, or simply because you are a fan to this particular star or celebrity. That's very wrong and very harmful to yourself. So I'm a very big fan of Bob Marley, but I don't smoke weed. Could you please clap for me? That was just by the way. So let's try to not to smoke weed or marijuana. They are the same, or even cigarettes. None of them is good at all. Weed could be good, for its medical purposes, but not to be smoking. Smoking it is bad. Initially in history, when people used to use say to treat tuberculosis, or even in recent times, it's still used in for different medicinal purposes. As I mentioned earlier, on treatment of asthma, is used in the manufacture of different painkillers in the pharmaceutical industries. That's how come when people smoke weed, they say they get relieved of their pain, because the cannabinoid molecule in cannabis or weed is responsible for this kind of pain relief. It's a painkiller, so it's a drug. But smoking it, the smoke has an effect on your respiratory tract. But I don't endorse any of them. But I personally, if I were to smoke, I would have preferred weed, because I feel like it's a painkiller, and then it's kind of you smoke it in its natural state. It's not contaminated with different artificial products that are carcinogenic, radioactive, as in the case of cigarettes. But even the smoke itself is still harmful to your respiratory tract. So why don't you just desist from it? And besides, as you see that most of the painkillers have side effects when we overdose them. When we abuse them, they have side effects. We cannot just be taking a painkiller all the times. You don't feel any pain. You are taking a painkiller. Like, it's definitely gonna have some side effects on you. So I wouldn't advise you to smoke weed or to even smoke cigarettes. None of them is good for smoking. Weed is a medical or a medicinal herb. That's very true. So thank you so much for your time, and please do not forget to subscribe to my channel if this is your first time on my channel, and also like my Facebook page. Just as I reacted to these comments today, I will be reacting to many other comments, and I have a lot of content to upload on different health issues. So please subscribe to be part of the family, and please do not forget to like if you really like the video. If you dislike it, don't hesitate to press the dislike button. That means a lot to me. I really want to know how. I so much appreciate the fact that like the reaction is massive. People are actually, I mean, listening to what I'm saying, like the health education that I'm giving. People are actually paying heed to what I'm saying, and I'm so much motivated to do or to make many more health tutorials. So please subscribe and support the movement. Till the next presentation, I wish you very, very good health. Bye.